All right, we should be live. There's usually typically a little bit of a lag, so I just want to wait a couple seconds here, wait for some people to come in. But today we got a special treat. Let me know down in the comment section, is the audio coming in okay? And how is the visual before we get started? All right, a couple seconds here, making sure everything is good on my end. Right, cool. So how is the audio? Is the audio pretty good for everyone? Looks like we got a couple people watching. Hit the like button, hit the retweet button, share the stream out. On my end, audio's coming in good. So today we have Dom, CEO of vEMPIRE. Uh, very interesting project that I very kind of gravitated towards because of what they've been trying to do and what they've accomplished already. They are a metaverse staking platform, not only just metaverse, but they also have a governance feature to it as well, play to earn gaming, NFTs, and much, much more. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this stream today. So Dom, I want to say thanks for coming onto the stream. How are you doing today, man?
Very good, thanks. What about you?
I am doing awesome. I am doing awesome. It's been a busy, busy, crazy crypto week and crypto month for everything that's been going on.
Tell me about it. Crikey. Never stops, does it?
It doesn't. It doesn't. It keeps us on our toes, though, right?
100%. 100%. Too much.
So Dom, tell us what's going on with vEMPIRE, man. How did the name come about? How did the idea and the vision of vEMPIRE?
So, in regard, yeah, a lot of people ask about the name vEMPIRE. It does sound a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But it was sort of a play on the original ethos and reason behind it was due to multiple sort of VCs having a monopoly over the metaverse. So, this was all the way back in must have been June of 2021. So, everyone sort of jumped onto metaverse and game fee that year, but it wasn't until October that sort of Facebook rebranded and every man and his dog set up a metaverse protocol. But so I always like to stress how early we were. But yeah, so a few VCs had a monopoly over Decentraland, Sandbox, Crypto Voxels, Upland, some of the very early ones. So vEMPIRE was sort of challenging the sort of monopoly and empire that the VCs had over these, and the original idea and sort of ideology behind it was that if these protocols are truly decentralized, like Decentraland claims to be, then there's nothing to stop vEMPIRE continuously purchasing land until you could technically conquer the whole metaverse. Because if they are truly decentralized, nobody can stop you from doing that because there's no central entity in control. So that was originally how the name came about, from sort of a conquering and invading with some of these DAOs, for example, Decentralands. I think before you can submit to the DAO, you have to first go through a 5-person security council. And I thought, well, it's not really a DAO, is it, if it's 5 people that make the decision, if the DAO should make a decision. So that was where the name came about from.
Cool, cool. And so I'm guessing from what you just said there, you kind of wanted to fix the centralization problem in the metaverse through vEMPIRE, in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So the intention was that even back then, metaverse land and metaverse properties, virtual real estate, was already so expensive. Obviously, that problem hasn't. We haven't managed to fix it yet, but it's actually increased and got even further and more expensive. I think since we first bought our estates in Decentraland and Sandbox, this data is as of January. The floor on Sandbox had risen by 960%. And in Decentraland by 660. So that's like the floor price, so like the worst areas that you could buy. But we were so early, we were picking up 3x3 estates for 50K neighboring Animoca brands in central locations, and those now sell for $500,000 just for something way out in the sticks. So yeah, we've got over 6 estates, 85 parcels in the sandbox, over 30 in Decentraland. So we solve problems for users as well as the protocols themselves. A lot of people think it's like a dig when I say this, but it's completely true. Sand and Mana, they are utility tokens, they are in-game currencies. They were built for the metaverse. And if you take them outside of that onto an exchange or into users' wallets, what purpose do they have except a means of transferring value like a meme coin could do? They function to be used in the metaverse, yet 99% of people hold them in their wallets or on an exchange. So they're not being used for their intended purpose. So if you're going to just be holding them anyway, stake them with us, earn VEMP as a primary yield, earn Mana as a secondary yield, or whichever token it is, and we even use the tokens for their intended purpose. So we solve the problem for the protocol where, they don't like people just buying, selling, flipping lands. They want people to develop. And that's what we do with some of our metaverse builds. So we allow users to earn money. We also allow the protocols to have, real good developments. And VEMP can be staked, and that earns VEMP holders, ex-VEMP holders, 10 to 20% of the profits from over 10 different metaverses and hundreds of NFT protocols.
Cool, cool. So you just said a lot there, Dom.
So I got having that.
So let's try to break this down. So you got staking, you got games, you have the DAO, and you guys made a point to do a DDAO, as in like a democratic DAO, whereas
yes,
whales can't come in and still just control the decisions. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the reasoning behind it. One thing that I noticed again with a typical DAO structure is that it works in exactly the same way as a typical shareholder capital scheme, in that whoever owns the largest percentage has the biggest say. But there's no real scientific fact that proves that if you have more money or more tokens in this point, then you should and have better say on decisions. There's plenty of idiots in crypto who've managed to get lucky. That's one thing we know. So I didn't agree that sort of a developer and a founder, we're going to have more tokens at the end of the day, but why should we be able to outvote the community? So that's not something I wanted. I wanted to make sure the community always has an equal say to myself, because I may have thought of the idea and built the protocol, but that doesn't mean that every decision I ever make in the future is going to be right. And the community needs to help guide that. And that's the reason why I wanted to have a democratic vote of 1 per wallet above a certain minimum. Only reason for that minimum is, as we know, bots are a problem, and you need to make sure that they can't just buy 1 token over millions of wallets. So that's the reasoning for it, to make sure that everyone gets their say.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Definitely makes sense, because when you think about certain DAOs now today, they're called decentralized autonomous organizations. However, they're autonomous to the public. However, in my opinion, this is just me, not to get too deep in it, but I think when you have a certain amount of money that's involved, I feel like those people behind the scenes know who they are, and to a degree. And so with that being said, I definitely feel like certain decisions can be influenced, to the people who have more say so, or who may have more value in the actual DAO. You know what I mean? And so I definitely think that's a very interesting take that you guys took, as in making a DDAO, as in people just can't come in and say, hey, let's buy this much so we have this much say so.
100%. Just because it's done on a voting system, these things are always open to abuse. Just look at politics. When does a democracy actually ever dictate the will of the people. It doesn't. So just trying to make a fairer system, and there's no DAOs aren't the finished product already. They're so new, so there needs to be innovation. So that's what we wanted to try and provide, because it's not a complete and finished system yet.
For sure. And you guys launched, what day did you guys actually launch, or the month?
31st of August.
So you guys are still, new to this, but accomplished so much already.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're coming up to our 6th month. So in that time, we built our staking app, the staking platform that's got Mana, Sand, Ethereum, Axie, Starlink. We've bridged to BSC, so we now have a BNB pool. So where we have so many different metaverse protocols that are new, we invest and buy land in those in our sort of layer 1 strategies. So the BNB staking pool will cover sort of the generalist. So that will cover token sales, early stage NFT projects, early stage metaverses, and then Ethereum obviously on the ETH side will do the same, and that has Bored Apes, Mutant Apes. So we give people a way to get exposure to these NFTs and these lands, which just are completely unaffordable sometimes. I mean, having a floor price on Sand and Mana of over 5 figures just for a piece of land, not everyone can afford to buy that. And also, how much do you need to own in crypto if you're going to have 5 figures exposed to virtual land? I mean, you've got to have an overall plot of what, at least like 50K if you want to have that much in just virtual property. So we want to give people access to this metaverse gold rush with having liquid exposure. They can stake it into the DAO at any time, they can take it out. And the clever part of having all of these pools, obviously the Mana pool makes its money in Mana, Sand makes it in Sand. We then sell those metaverse tokens, buy them, and send it to our DAO. So the pools work as auto buybacks.
Gotcha. So essentially, let's say I'm a newer investor, right? And I have Mana, I have Axie, I have, the top metaverse tokens. And I say, man, I want to stake these, but I don't want to use a centralized exchange. vEMPIRE will come in and say, or you guys have it out there to say, hey, you can stake your tokens here, but also kind of earn a W and earn our governance token and also have a say in the DAO.
Exactly. So not only do they get the primary token of VEMP in exchange as that primary yield and the governance token, they will also earn the actual token itself. So there will always be 2 or 3 yields. Axie, for example, that yields VEMP, AXS, and SLP. So we're a yield aggregator as well. And every part of the protocol's economy has been designed for exponential growth of interest and profits. So where you put, Mana, you'll be earning a yield in VEMP. That yield can then be staked into our DAO, where you will earn interest on your interest. The secondary yield, you'll be earning the metaverse token, so you can stake that again and earn interest on that interest, on that interest. And then after that, you've also got our games where we use XS VEMP. And XS VEMP is what people can battle with in our play to earn trading card game. So yeah, you can see on the staking platform there. So it's just exponential growth, interest on interest. The only time the chain is broken is if somebody decides to sell the interest. But there is always somewhere for you to earn more interest on your interest. So the longer you're with us, the more exponential and the snowball effect you get from all of the compounding.
Gotcha. That's smart. That's smart. So there's like a revolving door to keep that liquidity pool constantly paying the investors that's staking in each one of those pools.
Yeah, it just gives people, every incentive profitability wise, is to keep the tokens within the ecosystem. And that's so important in order to reduce sell pressure and to make sure that all of the rewards are put back onto the platform. You can see that our TVL is over 25% larger than our market cap. And in fact, the floor price, oh, there you are.
Yeah. Share the stream out. Share the stream out if you're watching.
So, yeah, what's interesting, our quarterly report that we published back in January, so the data's still, within a couple of months. So the floor price of all of the assets that we own is $22 million. And our market cap, as you can see there, is around 8 million. So we're currently, if we were to sell all of our assets right now, we would be able to pay everybody our market cap like 3 times over or more. Even our profits annualized last year were 18 million. We had a price earnings ratio of 1.44, and the average price earnings of a S&P 500 company is 28. So that's how undervalued we are. So right now it's an absolute bargain. Not sure if I'm allowed to say that, not financial advice in that. But yeah, it's when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah. And so to kind of put things in a nutshell for people that's watching. So essentially you guys have a lot of things that's going inside the ecosystem, right? And so you have metaverse staking, you have the DAO, you have NFTs, you have your play to earn gaming that you need the VEMP token as well, or the XVEMP token, I should say, to actually, utilize the game. And then as you guys put out new developments, I do have a question. Is there going to be a way with you guys owning so much digital land? Are you guys going to allow like other companies to build on top of that, and then that profit somehow gets put back to the holders in some form? Or because you guys own a lot of digital land, and so as the price increase, there's going to be companies that want to build on certain land that you guys have. Like you got some land, I believe, close to Bored Ape Yacht Club, and we know what they just did. ApeCoin just launched today, so things are going crazy. And so with that being said, are you guys looking into that as well? I know you guys mentioned in the white paper as well, you don't really want centralized exchanges to take over on the land you guys own, but is there some type of strategic plan in the future to utilize that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just because we don't want the centralized exchanges to and centralized entities to take over the metaverse, it doesn't mean that we won't take their money. Give it back to our DAO. Like, that's the whole point. We're going to Robin Hood them. So, by all means, my background, sort of how I got into virtual property management, I was a stockbroker and derivatives trader. Then I worked in wealth management, and then finally I was in VC myself, but not the tech VC. Our venture capital firm was an asset-backed investor. So we invested in the boring stuff like care homes, children's nurseries, pubs, hotels. But the key point is that all of them had freehold properties that sort of protected the investment because they all had that asset backing. And that's the same thing as sort of our token. So as part of any, in a real life property fund, you'll have certain elements where you're, buy low, sell high. But others, you will lease them and you'll earn rental income on them. And it's just part of managing a portfolio of real estate, whether it's virtual or physical, is making sure that you do have diversification. And so some of it will be from that sort of rental and other parts will be flipped. It will be very dependent on market conditions. Nobody wants to be selling assets, in the market that we've just had, for example, because you're usually selling those in ETH or the metaverse token, and they're obviously down, or a bit better today, but there we are. So there will be an element of that, and by all means, if we can take some money back from centralization and redistribute it, then we definitely will. XVEMP is, as you mentioned, stake VEMP, and that really is the key to the ecosystem. Once you stake your VEMP, that entitles you to get 10 to 20% of the profits from every single activity that we do, whether that's the games, whether that's the staking pools. But you're getting exposure to over 10 different metaverses and hundreds of NFTs, including Bored Apes, where realistically, people just can't afford them now. But I mean, the key thing that's different as well, because we aren't a metaverse token, we're not a gaming token, we're not DeFi, but we are all free. We have something so rare in crypto, which is so bullish, which is the ability to be flexible. Most metaverses, Sand is stuck in Sandbox, Mana in Decentraland. We aren't stuck, so we have the rare ability where we can be flexible, fluid, and we can follow trends. For example, Starlink, we are the largest token and asset owner, and their token launched less than a month before ours did. But we saw there was a want, a need, a demand, and they were hot. And so we added the staking pool. So we have that ability to follow trends, and that is so rare in crypto.
Interesting. And when you said things as a bargain, I just wanted to take a quick look at the token sheet here. Not financial advice, but one thing I do want to mention that some people say is, of course, VEMP has a strong community, but a lot of people look at when you guys hit like your all-time high, like around here, which this was like the all-time high of the market as well. This was when crypto hit 3.1 trillion. So I mean, everything Bitcoin was 69K. And so if we look
thing as well.
Right. And so if we look at the price chart compared to where it was, this is definitely why you're saying things are a bargain. And also based off of what you guys are doing and what you are accomplishing. Like you said, the token has 3 different use cases. It's not just one. So it's a pure utility token, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it pained me to see. But, it's just market cycles at the end of the day. And, people can get into cycles where, there's always people who buy high and then unfortunately end up selling low. I mean, as anyone who looks on our quarterly report, we are very transparent. We publish all the assets we own, all the profits that we make. They only need to go onto our website and download our Q4 report, and they'll be able to see what we're actually valued at. So there's how I relate it is that in a property fund, for example, in the real world, you have 2 measurements. A lot of people who don't invest in property or property funds wouldn't know this, but you have the fund price and then you have the NAV price. Now the NAV is the net asset value.
Right.
So when you have market shocks like COVID or Brexit, you have the fund price, which is controlled by retail. And when you have these shocks, it drops massively below the net asset value. And the reason why is because the fund price is controlled by humans, and humans panic, humans sell. The assets, they don't crumble to the ground the day after Brexit. They remain at the exact level they were. And that analogy works exactly the same for VEMP. We haven't sold any of our assets. They aren't gone. We are and have more assets than we did at all-time high right now, but we are 10 times cheaper. So crypto is still such a junior market, and it doesn't care about traditional valuations, fundamentals. They care more about having an animal as your logo rather than actually having utility. And that's fair enough. There's definitely money for it. I mean, we're allied with Shiba Inu, so I'm definitely not calling them out. But there's certain elements where people chase hype, and people do not yet realize that as the market matures,
right,
so will the people and the analysts. And there's fundamental value to be found in protocols that are transparent and where they publish their results. So yeah, anyone watching, if you take a read of our quarterly report, you'll definitely see some interesting things.
Yeah, and I mean, even what you just said, how transparent you are. You guys started in August, and you're the CEO, and look, you're on YouTube live talking about, the project transparently. So I mean, that right there shows a lot within itself. So I mean, shout out to you.
Well, thanks. Well, yeah, it's just sometimes I wish I wasn't so transparent.
I get that. I get that.
Trust me, it would make my life easier. Yeah, but there we are. I mean, I always think that I said that my mission for this year is to get my face in front of as many people as possible, because yeah, it does line you up to get absolutely destroyed if things don't go your way, well, or don't go the sort of the market's way. But no one is as passionate, and nobody knows the protocol as well as I do. People say if I have an AMA or YouTube, people say good luck, but it's I'm not arrogant enough to say I don't need luck, but nobody knows the protocol like I do, because I wrote the paper, I built it, I live and breathe Vemp and vEMPIRE. So there's no question I can't answer. There's nothing to hide. Everything is as you see it and as you get, and we'll publish it in reports. So there's not a single thing that I feel that could ever go wrong on one of these, because it's all there. We are the most transparent you'll get. Yeah, if anybody ever has questions, just come into one of our chats, Telegram, Discord. And yeah, one of us will be there, probably me, on Telegram, and you'll probably get my brother on Discord. But yeah, we'll answer anything. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so, in a nutshell, for people that may be hearing about Vemp and vEMPIRE for the first time, how would you sum it up for investors that may not be that knowledgeable on the metaverse space? Because when we think about it, less people know about the metaverse and NFTs than they know about crypto. And even with crypto adoption growing, there's still a massive opportunity in these spaces.
See, I'm not good when people ask me to say it's simple, because I always have these you end up describing it in one way. I mean, the easiest way to relate it to the real world is that you have sort of a real estate investment trust. We aren't that per se, but what we allow is that people can get exposure to the virtual property market, which is booming and which is growing exponentially, without having to actually tie yourself in. We help everybody. We help protocols to solve problems of populating their metaverses. We help users to earn money on their tokens that you would just be holding on Binance, on Gate, on Bittrex. If you take those tokens and put them onto our platform, we'll pay you for doing it. You're only going to be holding them anyway. At least you'll be earning multiple yields. So we provide opportunities for people to get liquid exposure to illiquid assets, and we will pay you just for bringing it to us, and we will build fun experiences in the metaverse, and you can play games. Everyone's a winner.
Yeah, I mean, So I mean, literally, you guys have the entire ecosystem built, and you guys are what, a little over, not even a year old. Started in August. I mean, you guys are fresh. So you got staking, governance. People can actually grow with the project, get their voice heard. They can if they don't have Vemp, they can stake one of the metaverse tokens, earn Vemp as well, start staking that into the DAO, which is pretty cool. Then you have NFTs and play to earn gaming. What would you say, what you guys have accomplished so far? What would you say the next big step for Vemp is for 2022 to kind of really continue to keep setting your guys apart?
When Binance.
I like it. I like it. Is that like a listing? Like a listing you're looking for?
No, it's just that's a thing that immediately came into my mind. Just as in like when people say what's next. But yeah, that's we would obviously love that. But what we want to make sure that we're doing is updating our pools. We should have a new one coming up in the next 2 weeks. We want to make sure that we are keeping up to date with chains. So we've started development on Solana for our Atlas pool, Star Atlas, and we will also be having a sole staking pool. So we want to keep following trends because that's our USP. We can do so as and when the latest metaverses and metaverse protocols and games come up, we want to be able to have the ability to instantly add a pool if we wanted. We want to have that like 2 weeks out every single time there's something new, so that we can take advantage of our flexibility. So how that looks is making sure that, you know, all of the most popular chains we cover. So we've got BSC, we've got ETH. Next up definitely is Sol and Polygon. So once we have those two sorted, but yeah, you know, like you said, we have everything sort of ready and built, and the ecosystem is there. The profit and the compounding is there. What we're doing now is we're improving and we're you know, stretching and branching out 2 chains, 2 extra pools, and to make sure that we're constantly improving. But yeah, you know, if people stake now, for example, you know, even though our assets in Sandbox have gone up by, you know, 2,000% annualized last year, we haven't sold them because that wouldn't be the good long-term plan. So you can stake sand right now into our staking pool, and when we sell those profits are redistributed to everyone. You know, they're not just segregated for the original like stakers at the point that we've made that purchase. That's not how, you know, any sort of vehicle works. So you can still take advantage of 2,000% locked in from last year. You know, our Bored Ape is one of the top 250 rarest Bored Apes. They sell for like 3, 4, 500 ETH, the quality that we have. And again, we haven't sold it, we own it. So anyone staking ETH, when we sell that, tell you what, we're gonna have to do it so quickly. As soon as that sale goes through, we can't have anyone seeing that on OpenSea because we're gonna get an absolute lump in because everyone's gonna want to share 300 ETH profit. But yeah, I mean, you know, our earliness, you can still take advantage of, which is a great thing. It's like looking back in time and going back and picking up all these assets, knowing that Facebook rebranded to Meta and it went into the hype. You can still get access. Just go to our staking platform and you've got all the options there.
Man, that is big. That is big. And so on the staking platform, man, I personally use it myself. Do you guys have any plan on adding any other wallets as well besides MetaMask to the staking wallet to add another way to utilize it?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where we've got so many we're constantly like developing. We've got like 13 developers, we've got like 20 staff now, including devs. And it's always just the case of we'll get this thing out of the way first, then we'll add that. It's one of those things. It's like that gets it gets kicked down the road a bit because it's like a nice to have rather than a like need. I mean, yeah, it is something we want to do. We're just always trying to get other stuff out. At the moment, we've got coming up very soon, we're launching a new set of NFTs on Binance Smart Chain. So these are the plebeian council. Pleb nowadays is a insult, but it actually meant commoner in ancient Rome. So we're going to be whitelisting all of our VEMP stakers for one, airdropping NFT to all of our existing NFT holders. So you can still buy those now on OpenSea up until the mint date on the 24th. And if you buy one of our ETH NFTs, you'll get a free BSC one airdrop to you. So those are on OpenSea. They're called vEMPIRE, the Founding Soldiers. They are 4 of our current trading card games. So you can use those in the card game already, and it will boost your score, making it much more likely that you'll win. But yeah, that's coming up on the 24th. You'll get 100% discount to market by staking VEMP. Even if you're a partner community, you'll still get 25% discount. There we are. See there. So those do have utility within the game itself. So owning one of the trading cards effectively makes you the house. You know, you have that advantage that the casino has, where they have 1, 2, 3, 5% advantage with blackjack or roulette. But over time, you will win a lot more matches, but it won't be enough to put off the other player. something we announced yesterday. We had our game looked at by Machinations, and they do balancing. So they played 3 million cards and 300,000 games in a simulation for us to make sure that it was fair, to make sure that no side was more overpowered. So yeah, everything has been done to make sure that it's completely fair. You can pick them up for as little as 0.2 for some of the more common ones, and then you've got the secondary ones there as well. But yeah,
cool.
Definitely worth looking at.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That is definitely pretty cool. And so, man, you guys looks like you guys definitely have a pretty large team as well, which I'm assuming allows you guys to do all these different things that you guys have going on already. So, I mean, that's definitely good to see. Is there any question that I may have missed, or maybe you want us put a little bit more spotlight on? That you want to touch on. And then also for everyone watching the stream, thanks for watching. If you have a question, go ahead and put it down in the comment section, and we'll do our best to get that answer for you.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I just get completely away with myself, and I'll start talking, and I just won't stop. By the time I stop talking, I've forgotten what you've asked me. I'm stumbling at this stage, but yeah,
it's all good, man. That's all good.
So it goes. I mean, that's how you get the magic. Just forgetting and just carrying on, thinking of ideas on the spot. It's always what I like to do. But the community come in. Have you got any questions coming through in the comments?
Yeah, and I got a couple questions here. Do you have, and I know you can't really tell us what, but could you at least say maybe yes or no? Is there any major listings coming up for VEMP, like for exchanges?
We are constantly in conversations, and we are and have been approved and ready to go on some. But a lot of people think that with an exchange, you just pay a fee, press a button, and go. But it's a lot more complicated than that. Exchanges, as much as they will, approve and allow a protocol to list, they will not add or list you until it is the best time. And what does the best time mean for an exchange? It means that when they can get the most
money.
New customer.
I just called it what it is.
Well, yeah, it's well, I was going to say the most volume and new customers, but effectively, yes. Effectively, that counts for the same thing. So exchanges are always looking for community hype. And obviously, it's hard for people to have that sort of hype when the market's been down and everything like that. But that's why I say it's good to have positive reinforcement. As much as negative, people get down about the price, they complain. So then people see the complaints, they get down. Exactly. So it's about changing that up, getting a positive positivity going, because the noisier the community is, and the more the exchanges see that there's users who want and have that demand, that's what flips a switch. Because there's a reason why exchanges list meme coins with no utility.
Absolutely.
But you've got such utility projects like us who aren't on some of the more major exchanges. We're still on tier ones like Gate and Bittrex, but the reason why meme coins get listed is because they have noisy, positive communities, and the exchanges know that they'll get tons of new customers and tons of volume from it. So people want to make sure that we get this listings, and we have multiple large exchanges that I'm talking to, and that are good to go. They're just waiting for the right time, and the right time is when the community is hyping.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely agree. And I know you mentioned about some things you're working on for Star Atlas and Solana staking. Do you have any other major things coming up? I know you got something with the network Neo as well soon. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Neo staking pool, that's on the cards. We're waiting for a certain amount of opportunities. Obviously, one of the reasons why we're getting a lot of demand from these blockchains like Neo and other layer ones is that we provide almost a corporate demand for their NFTs. So it's not just their own sort of retail customer base. If they have vEMPIRE on their chain, they can demonstrate to any new gaming and metaverse talent that wants to join them, that, well, look, your NFTs will have demand, because not only our users, you've also got vEMPIRE with the Neo staking pool, for example. So we are having layer ones contact us because they see the benefit of having us on their chain, because it means that they can attract better and higher talent. So yeah, coming up on the roadmap, we do have much more staking pools. We've got the plebs drop. We have more games all the time. We've got our 7 wonders of the ancient world build within the sandbox. You can take a look on our YouTube, and it has the pyramids of Giza, lighthouse of Alexandria, and hanging gardens of Babylon ready, and you can view them there. But we will, in May, have the full world ready, and we are hoping to have it featured in one of the seasons of Sandbox when they open, but that's to be confirmed. But we will be minting NFT keys, because we're going to have a residential district in the middle. So users will be able to buy a house within the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
No, it's nice. And that actually goes with one of the community questions here. When vEMPIRE Metaverse? So if there's anything you can give us on that, because I mean, you guys own so much land, and I think if I'm not mistaken, you own the most metaverse digital land out of any other organization.
Decentralized, yes. There's centralized entities like Republic Realm. I don't think they rebranded to like every realm or something, but they're very centralized because they work with just private offices, stuff like that. But in terms of the decentralized world, but having our own metaverse is very much on the cards. It's just the way that we want to do it and the development of it. I think it's one of those things where Decentraland, for example, it took them about 3 years to build it, and you don't want to start. If you start talking about something, it's always like just around the corner, and you always have questions on it. So it's very much on the cards, but we're going to keep it very close to our chest, because when we do it, we're going to do it properly, and once it's done, it will be incredible. But we never like to put out, and we haven't to this day, even to the annoyance of a lot of community members, when our trading card game, we had it in November out for testing, but it wasn't perfect yet. It wasn't ready. The card balancing wasn't done, so it wasn't completely fair and transparent in terms of knowing which side was equal. So we didn't put it out until February for the actual blockchain version, which got us grief from some people. But I don't think people notice sometimes or realize that if you put out a bad product before a finished product, that will affect you much worse than not. So we're very conscious to not and make sure that I always like to under promise, over deliver, because then everybody's happy.
I respect that. And so Ivan has a question from the community. I think you talked about this a little bit earlier, but maybe he missed it. He said, to get a free NFT from the new collection, can I buy any of your existing NFTs?
Yes. So any vEMPIRE Founding Soldier purchase, any wallet that holds those will get a NFT. We will be looking at the wallets though. So for example, there's plenty of people who own more than one. We will be checking, so don't just put them in tons of different wallets, because then we will know, because we're going to look, and then you won't get any. So yes, new purchases will be getting a free NFT. But if you spread them around, then you won't get any.
Makes sense. There's your answer. So another community question: any competitions coming up? And I'm assuming this will be for the play to earn games.
Yeah, so we are adding there's a bit, I forgot about that. That's a good reminder. So we're adding a spectator mode and a chat into our trading card game, because I always love a bit of trash talk. Like, yeah, just
Gotta have that competition, man.
100%. So we are going to be hopefully running a competition soon with one of our partner communities. Falcon 9 F9 is a token, and Falcon Orts is the NFT collection. So we're going to be running a play to earn Sundays, which they do every Sunday, and we will, as soon as we have the chat and spectator mode, we'll be running that. Originally, we were going to do it this Sunday. See, I might be at risk here, but I think that we're moving it. Hopefully we are. Otherwise, I've just sort of pushed it. But yeah, once that's added, we will have that, because yeah, there's nothing like giving someone some grief once you're absolutely annihilating them.
I agree with that, man. And so another community question, you kind of touched on this, and I know you probably can't give specifics, but maybe they missed kind of the intel of what you were saying. When Solana support and Atlas staking pools?
So I have spoken to my devs, and in the roadmap I said, because the problem is a lot of people, basically in blockchain, Ethereum and Sol, you have two different languages, Solidity and Rust. And Rust is completely different to Solidity. It's like asking somebody who speaks and writes English to suddenly speak and write Arabic. It doesn't, it's not similar. You can't just pick them up. So because Rust is so new, Rust developers can charge footballer salaries because there's so much demand and so little developers. So because of that, nobody makes their code open source like Ethereum. So Rust devs just keep everything secret, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to charge the salaries if everyone could just copy and paste what they do. So because of that, it isn't like just a normal staking pool on Ethereum where you can just fork somebody else's. In Ethereum, it's been going so long that there's always like a previous model that you can amend or fork. With Solana, it's different. So these have got to be built from scratch by the devs. So because of that, it takes longer. But in our roadmap, it says Q2, and I confirmed, and I said, will this be ready by the end of June? And they said yes. So it's still on track for Q2, just it will be towards the end of Q2.
Man, that's good. And that's for both. Will that be for both pools or just? I'm sorry, I know I'm putting you on the spot, man.
At least one of them. Well, yeah, at least one of them.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Well, hopefully, yeah. Once we've actually got the first one, then the second one shouldn't be as hard. It's just building the first one is literally building something from scratch. So it's like designing. It's like designing the first ever staking contract. Once we achieve it, it will actually be like a really, really big thing, because there isn't currently a contract that is the equivalent contract in Ethereum is called a MasterChef contract, but there isn't at present a Solana equivalent. So we will, touch wood, probably be the first. So I don't know if I should make it open source or not.
I hear you.
I got to. Otherwise, I'll be a hypocrite. But yeah, I should keep it for myself. But there we are.
So got another community question. Any pools in the pipeline which are heavily undervalued? Of course, not financial advice. And I'm actually pulling up right here. So here's the total value locked in. This is all of the metaverse staking pools, correct?
Correct. Yes. So that's all of everything on our protocol. Yeah. So our market cap is I think 2 million less than that. Well, it depends on whether they mean the tokens themselves or the assets. Well, obviously they're not priced like they don't all have their own individual price. If they mean which one of the tokens do I think are undervalued, I hate to be boring, but I think ETH is at 2,800 is so undervalued. When they do, and they just had the successful testnet merge. So, what everybody is waiting for, they just did a successful testnet of it. So, what comes next after the demo and the testnet is the actual main thing. So I think ETH 2.0 is literally a lot quicker and coming around a lot sooner than people think. And once we move to that model, the emissions of ETH reduce.
32 ETH.
Yeah, so they're going to be 10 times less than they are currently. So yeah, I think ETH has a lot of room to run, and I think that within 12 months of the mainnet merge, I think the flippening will finally happen. But yeah, that is not financial advice or a prediction.
Sure.
But yeah, I think I'm bullish on ETH, and I think Bitcoin as well. Depending on what inflation does, obviously it's going to go mental, but it's just how mental it goes. You know, Bitcoin could go on a crazy run as well. So that's the only thing. I'm very bullish on ETH, but in regards to the flippening and ETH flipping Bitcoin, it depends how mental inflation goes.
And one thing I thought was very interesting, right? Because there's still a lot of people who don't per se want to use an exchange, right, to earn interest or stake their cryptocurrency. And so when 2.0 comes out, you have to have 32 ETH to stake. Well, even still, if you think about one ETH, the average investor to be able to, buy one ETH, it's almost out of reach, right? And so they have to buy fractions of ETH. Well, how do they compound that if they don't constantly have money to keep investing? Well, you can use staking, right? And so I think that's a pretty interesting deal that you guys have ETH for vEMPIRE. So for people who may not have 32 ETH and don't want to use a centralized exchange, you guys give an outlet to those investors to say, hey, you could stake whatever amount of ETH you have here and actually earn. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. I think even the yield for validators, those who do have over 30 ETH, is still like last time I looked, I might get in trouble here if I'm telling it wrong, but I think it was like between 7 and 9%. Anyway, we yield that just in VEMP, and I think our ETH yield is over that as well. So we give you two separate yields, which are more than a validator gets, and we don't charge any minimums. So yeah, well, I mean, it's easy for me to say as the owner of the protocol that it's no brainer. The assets that we have, the returns that we have, every month we're distributing. There's it's all written there on a ledger, the performance. So yeah, you can see there. It's I think 8.7 in VEMP. I think it's over 9. It could even be as high as 12. I'm not sure. As a secondary yield as well. 12.36. So yeah, it's definitely got good assets in those, including the sort of Bored Apes. But yeah, we distribute every month into those. And the great part is that obviously, since we've fallen and our market cap is lower, the higher VEMP gets in comparison to the other tokens, the more the yield increases. So when we were at all-time high, our AXS yield was over 300%. Our ETH yield was over 30%. Sand was almost 90%. Mana was over 100. Starlink, the only reason it's lower is because we had 3% of their total supply staked with us. But, we own 18% of Starlink's metaverse.
I saw that.
But, yeah, Starlink's
that is huge.
Yeah, I know, but it just doesn't. Again, this is where crypto doesn't make sense. So Starlink's market cap, I think it's like 150 million at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So we own 18% of their metaverse. Their metaverse is valued at 150 million. 18% of that is like 20 something million. Our market cap is 8, and that's just one of our pools. Like what? The market isn't controlled. People's definition of value, it doesn't make sense. So value is only ever denoted by how much a buyer will pay a seller for something. People think that it's linked to assets. People think it's linked to logic. It isn't. What I find in a supermarket for £1 could be worth 10,000 to someone who's starving. Value is only ever the view of the person buying it from the seller, and that creates opportunity where the market is wrong because it's controlled by humans, and we are so often wrong. And the opportunity is where you can read it on a report and you can see it in front of you. Oh, look, these assets are actually worth this. the market's valuing them at this. I'll take that difference, because that goes straight to you. It's just once the market notices. The benefit of watching this right now is that, you know, we're telling you. Obviously, you can read it for yourself on the website. Don't trust me. But yeah, you know, we're giving that opportunity right now to take advantage of a market that is pricing us incorrectly.
And one thing I want to mention as well, as we're coming up on an hour here, um, do you see, because I know as time go on, as you guys buy more assets, as it develops and appreciates, do you see the DAO appreciation for VEMP going up, as in what you're paying the holders? Because right now we can see it's right around 15%. Typically, you said it's around 10 to 20 on average. Do you see that potentially going up over time? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So usually where the more people who stake into sort of a pool, it dilutes and the yield goes down, but that's where it's done on block rewards. So our old DAO, I don't know, because it's got two Ds, I don't know whether to say, when I say DAO, people think I'm saying it wrong. Or if I say DDAO, people think that I've got a stutter. So I never know what to say. But yeah, our old one was done on block rewards, which is APR. So people could claim instantly at any time, 1.5 per block was sent. But that was only a stopgap because obviously we needed time to build up a portfolio of assets in order to make profit and then redistribute it. So now it's done on a APY formula, and why that's even better is that the DAO now auto compounds. So we send profit every single week and month, every time we make it. And that compounds on top. So again, your exponential interest growth is also being compounded within the actual pool itself. So as we make more profits, every time 10 to 20% goes up. So all of the compounding is going on within the pools as well as externally, where you're compounding your own. And obviously we didn't have our play to earn game out until last month, and 10% of that is also going now to the DAO. So yes, it will increase in line with our own revenues and profits.
cool, cool. Well, man, we've unpacked a lot in this video. I mean, this live stream. The playback will be available as well. If there's anything that you want to mention before we get out of here, what would you say to, you know, people looking for a way to, you know, maybe get into the metaverse, earn passive income, and potentially get their voice heard in a growing project like yourself?
Come to us, 100%. I mean, yeah, you know, we allow and take sort of some of the responsibility away from you having to pick what is the next big thing. You know, whether that is, you know, picking which token you want, or whether which land you want to buy. You know, do you have time to develop it? We allow you to get access to multiple streams of revenue without having to commit to which token. You know, if people buy Mana, then, you know, they've got to rely on Decentraland. If they buy Sand, on Sandbox. But by owning VEMP and staking it into our DAO, you can get exposure to the whole metaverse and games, NFT projects. We're a one-stop shop for, you know, decentralized metaverse investment, and we'll pay you just for joining us.
Man, hey, you heard it here from the CEO. Dom, definitely want to have you on the channel again as more developments come out, as more things come out. We'll definitely love to have you on the channel again.
Love to be back.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again, Dom, for coming on.
Cheers. See you later.